The Urals can be just as harsh and unforgiving, especially in wintertime. We're talking heavy snowfall, winds that cut right through you, and temperatures cold enough to freeze exposed skin solid in minutes. Not exactly your beginner's trek. Yet for some reason, that's exactly where our group of hikers wants to go. The group originally consists of 8 men and 2 women. Most were students or graduates of Ural Polytechnical Institute, or UPI. The goal of the 14-day expedition is to reach Mount Ortorton, a 3,900-foot or 1,200-meter high mountain. The group is led by Igor Dyatlov, an experienced 23-year-old hiking and skiing enthusiast. The other 9 are basically handpicked by Igor. This is not going to be an easy trip, so he wants to make sure that everyone on the team is qualified. The other 9 teammates are Zina Kolmogorova, Ludmila Dubinina, Alexander Kolovatov, Rustam Slobodin, Nikolai Thibobrno, Semyon Zolotarov, Yuri Yudin, Yuri Durashenko, and Yuri Krovanoshenko. All members are experienced in long ski tours and mountain expeditions, which is good because this route in this season is estimated as a Category 3 hike, the most difficult level. And let me just take a quick minute to say that I do not speak Russian, so my sincerest apologies if I mispronounce any names or places in this video. On January 23rd, 1959, the hour of departure finally arrives, and our bold crew loads up their hefty packs, bids farewell to friends and family, and boards a train from Sverdlovsk City, today Yekaterinburg, bound for Ivdel. They arrive at Ivdel on January 25th and then take a truck to Vigier, the last inhabited settlement so far north. They start their march to Mount Ortorton from Vigier on January 27th. The very next day, one of the members, Yuri Yudin, who had several health ailments, including rheumatism and a congenital heart defect, which really makes me wonder why he's included in the team in the first place. But I guess he was fine most of the time and only had occasional rheumatism flare-ups and has done these crazy winter expeditions before. But he decides that the pain in his knees and joints is just too much, and he makes the difficult decision to abandon the expedition and remain behind in Vigier while his comrades press onwards. Now, it had been agreed beforehand that Igor would send a telegram to their sports club back at UPI as soon as the group returned to Vigier. They expected that would be no later than February 12th. But Dyatlov tells Yuri, hey, don't be surprised if it takes us a little longer. Hugs and farewells are exchanged, and on January 28th, the group continues on while Yuri turns back toward Vigier to wait for his friend's return. Over the next few days, the group of 9 treks deep into the frozen northern Urals, relying on their compass and maps to navigate the snowy wilderness. The physical exertion is intense, requiring frequent rest breaks. Each night, they huddle in their one huge tent, their only refuge from the whipping wind and frigid air. During the day, the endless pines and unbroken snow tests their stamina and resolve. Igor leads the way through the deep snow as best he can. February 1st, they get kind of a late start and only make it about 2.5 miles or 4 kilometers that day. They stop around 5 p.m. and set up camp on a slope of Mount Kolatsiakl, just 10 miles or 16 kilometers from Mount Ortorton. Kolatsiakl translates to Dead Mountain in the language of the indigenous Mansi people. How creepy and foreshadowing is that? They stow away some of their extra provisions for their return trip and settle down to dinner about 6 or 7 o'clock. Then, something goes catastrophically wrong. February 12th comes and goes. Nothing, not a peep. And at first, people think, well, maybe the weather delayed them a few days, or maybe they changed up their route a bit at the last minute. Remember, Igor told Yuri before they parted that even he thought that they wouldn't make it back by the 12th. February 20th comes without any word from the hikers. Their families start to plead with the authorities at this point to send out search teams, convinced something has gone terribly wrong out there. So the first rescue groups, consisting of volunteer students and teachers, are sent out on the 20th. By the 26th, with still no word from anybody, the Army and police forces become involved, with planes and helicopters being ordered to join the rescue operation. After days spent slogging through sub-zero temperatures and endless snow, finally, a discovery. In a clearing at the base of the mountain, the searchers spot something, a shock of color against the icy wasteland. It's the group's tent, still pitched. But as rescuers rush closer, the scene only deepens the dread. The tent's been ripped open from the inside, with no sign of the 9 outside or anywhere nearby. It appears as if the team had hastily fled, wearing almost no gear or protection from the bitter elements. Searchers are baffled by the chaotic scene of disorder and the reckless, illogical escape from the tent, abandoning their stove, shoes, and everything else. A chain of 8 or 9 sets of footprints wearing only socks or a single shoe or even barefoot can be seen that lead down towards the edge of the woods almost a mile away or 1.5 kilometers. But at that point, they're covered with snow. Keep in mind that at the time the hikers are thought to flee their tent, the temperature is just below 0 or 20 below Celsius, and that's not factoring in any wind. Once the icy wind touched their skin, delirium would have set in within minutes. At the forest edge, under a large old cedar, the search party finds the remains of a fire, along with the first 2 bodies, those of Yuri Krivoshenko and Yuri Doroshenko, lying side by side, shoeless and dressed only in their underwear. On February 27th, between the cedar and the tent, the searchers find Igor Dyatlov and Zina Kolmogorova. And 6 days later, on March 5th, Rustam Slobodin. The 3 seem to have died in poses and locations suggesting that they were attempting to return to the tent. 5 comrades are now accounted for. A medical examination found no injuries, which might have led to their deaths, so it was concluded that they had died of hypothermia. But 4 are still missing somewhere out in that icy abyss. Could any of the remaining 4 still be clinging to life out there? Maybe they escaped together before the brutal elements could take them. Searchers cling to this last feeble hope as they continue combing the endless pines and ravines. But they find nothing. No sign of the other 4 hikers. In the days following the abandoned tent's discovery, the search party perseveres in combing the area of Kalatsiakal for survivors or remains. Spotter planes scan the endless forests and ravines to no avail as rescuers on foot systematically widen their search area. On May 5th, they make a ghastly find. The final 4 bodies. They're found under 12 feet or 4 meters of snow in a ravine 150 feet or 50 meters farther into the woods from the cedar tree. These 4 are better dressed than the others and clearly had the presence of mind to know that they were in trouble and did everything they could to preserve themselves because they're wearing clothes that belonged to some of the others who were apparently already dead. But they managed to dig out a den in the snow and line it with branches in an effort to keep themselves warm. And some of the clothes taken from the bodies underneath the cedar tree were placed on the cedar branches. So they knew they were in trouble, but they were certainly working the problem. But the examination of these 4 bodies changes everything. Alexander did die of hypothermia, but his eyebrows are missing, and his body has turned a grayish, greenish purple color. But the other 3 did not. Their bodies tell a completely different story, a story we are still trying to figure out to this day. These 3 all have fatal injuries. Nikolai's skull is totally shattered, and both Ludmila and Semyon's ribs are smashed laterally, so not like a blow to the front or the back, but more like they were squeezed from the sides. According to one of the forensic experts, the force required to cause this kind of damage would have been extremely high, like a car crash. But none of the bodies have any external wounds. It's like they were hit with some kind of massive pressure wave. Ludmila is missing her eyes and her tongue, and has 10 broken ribs, 4 of them in 2 places. Semyon's eyes are gone too, and he has 5 broken ribs, all of them in 2 places. Nikolai's skull is smashed with such force that an attack from another human is ruled out because humans can't hit that hard. Yet not even a bruise or a cut on his scalp. It defies logic. No animal attacks like this or scavenges like this, and there's no external wounds. Outside of Alexander's missing eyebrows, it's like some powerful outside force systematically destroyed them from the inside out. Even stranger, the 4 are neatly buried side by side under the snow, almost as if deliberately arranged. The government totally fails to identify any rational cause for the horrific mutilations. The families beg for answers, but all the medical experts and investigators keep coming back empty-handed. Whatever did this left no measurable traces besides the devastated bodies. And there are so many more anomalies that I haven't even touched on. Messed up DNA, connections to the KGB, radioactive clothing, missing axes and knives, eyewitness testimony that says that he saw the first 2 bodies covered over with a blanket, obviously post-mortem, and that the KGB staged the scene. Testimony that government officials were quietly taking an overly active interest in the case, while at the same time pressuring investigators to shut it down. If you are interested in a deep dive on this, I highly recommend visiting dyatlovpass.com. I will put a link to it in the list of sources in the description below. Oh my God, it is a wealth of information. So many details and whatnot, I couldn't even begin to dig into it all. But let me know if you would like me to do a deeper dive video in the future. So with the whole country watching, the Soviet authorities are under massive pressure to explain what happened, but they have 0 answers. Finally, after months of fumbling around, they throw up their hands and declare, it is concluded that the cause of their demise was overwhelming force, which the hikers were not able to overcome. Nice non-answer. The families scream cover-up, demanding more evidence, but the government sticks firmly to the natural phenomena line and seals off the area. Records get locked down, physical evidence is declared totally off limits. The Kremlin absolutely shuts down any deeper digging into this thing until 2019. In 2019, Russian authorities suddenly reopened the investigation, saying they'll utilize modern science to crack the case once and for all, reigniting sparks of hope that maybe now we'll get some real answers. The bodies get exhumed for new autopsies and testing. DNA analysis to confirm identities, which it kind of does. Scans check radiation levels. Again, nothing anomalous, but the core questions surrounding the shocking injuries, all the examiners ultimately shake their heads, saying the original autopsy data still stands. After all the hype, the 2019-2020 inquest just kind of fizzles out and peters away inconclusively. No single theory fully explains all these freaky facts. So short of a bombshell confession, this is as close as we may ever get to what actually happened on that lonely pass. In honor of the 9 doomed hikers, the site of the incident is formally named Dyatlov Pass in the early 1960s. A memorial plaque is later erected at the pass to commemorate the fateful events and pay tribute to the victims.